cold, fresh air. Feel the melody that's in the air. And then take a look around. What's going down? However do you want me? However do you need me? However do you want me? However do you need me? I live at the top of the globe. There's no more room for anything more. I stake my claim. My name stated Billy now. Ever do you want this? Hey, big drop. Ooh, oh, yeah. Tell me what's going on. Warning, I will be rapping and singing for about 50% of this video. Welcome back to my channel. It's Taral here with another struggle review, here to discuss Belly, 1998's Belly. Yes, we are taking it back with a little throwback segment. If you guys like this, I will do more. Now, this movie stars DMX and Nas and is directed by the infamous Hype Williams. Now, I always found it so funny how much we love this movie, and we consider it to be one of the great classics, even though as I got older I realized just how horrible the actual script and writing is for this movie, and the story and the plot is all over the place. But before I get into exactly why we actually love this movie and what's so great about it, I need you guys to drop down and subscribe to my channel and like this video. I'm going to give you guys a moment to do that, and then we're going to come back and get into all things DMX, y'all. I'm possessed by the darker side, living the cruddy life. Shit like this kept a nigga with a bloody knife. Wanna make records, but I'm fucking shit up. Slipping, falling, can't get up. Have hopefully subscribed to see more of me. Let's get into this movie. Now, before we jump right into the movie and all the bad things, I want to start off with some of the main things of why I feel like this movie is so great. And to do that, we have to start off with the main man, the director and the writer, Mr. Hype Williams. Now, if you are a kid of the 90s, like myself, that name will always ring to you, because there was not a video in the 90s, like the late 90s on to the 2000s, that Hype Williams was not touching. He was directing in a lot of genres, but the main one was hip-hop. He was directing everything, everybody, everything from, our favorite Missy Elliott videos to Busta Rhymes. That's enough right there, because those videos are epic in itself. But then we have, other things like California Love, and, Flavor in Your Ear. You won't be around that shit. My rap suits the bear kicking ass, flavor in your ear. Don't you just miss when rappers used to rap with their hands? Like, oh, man. But he was touching everything. But I think it's, so funny how I can, peep it now, but I always felt like back then watching Belly that it was like, always felt like a really long, elaborate video instead of a movie. But I think that's why we love it so much. And then we can also touch on, the photography and the cinematography of this film and why it looks so great. Now, Hype Williams has a lot to do with the direction and, the creation and the angles and things, but the cinematography in general, oh my goodness, is so lavish here and engrosses you into the film, whether it's bad or not. And it's done here by Mr. Malik Saheed. Now, you may not know his name, but you are super familiar with his work through, Spike Lee films like Clockers and, Girl 6. Love me some Girl 6 and Clockers, because the hues on the people, like, he knows how to make people of color pop and what we should look like and tones to use. And you see that come across in the Belly film also. But you also know him from, his later works now with Black is King and Beyonce's, Lemonade situation. So this man has been around for a long time, and bottom line, he knows what we should look like on film. And he added a lot to this movie. I love it. Now, along with the costuming also being really, really great for this film, We also have the soundtrack. Y'all remember soundtracks? Like, man, it used to be a time like a soundtrack will be as great as, if not better than, some of the artists' full albums that you were getting. Like, the soundtrack for this film was lit. You know, we got everything from, you know, D'Angelo, Wu-Tang, Nas and DMX features. Like, it was full of everything. And, you know, along with the soundtrack, the music that is played in the film helps the movie immensely. And we'll get to why I say that. And last but not least, this is just a hood classic. This falls in the realm of, you know, the Paid in Full, Boys in the Hood, Menace to Society, Dead Presidents, all those good things. Even though, unlike those other films, this script was horrible. So now that we got all of that good stuff out the way, let's get into this movie and discuss why, even though Hype Williams, this translated so well for Hype Williams on screen, because you ever watch videos and you go, oh my gosh, like, this video doesn't match the song. He was so good at making videos that matched the song that he made the perfect movie to match his script, but the script just was not good. But as soon as the movie starts, we get into what we came to see and why this movie is so great. Mr. Hype Williams pulling the audience in with music and visuals. That visual of that intro of them walking into the club, you know, to rob, and you know, it's the neon and the black light and the eyes are glowing and everything just looks lavish. And you know, you have bad to, you know, you have soul to soul. However do you need me? The acapella version, like, oh my goodness. And you know, you just watching, you wait on that beat to drop, and it's just so good. And the music and the visuals flow so well, as they would in a video for Mr. Hype Williams, that, you know, you're not even worried about, like, they ain't explain nothing. They ain't, we don't need none of that. We know what they came to do. The beat dropped and they robbed everybody. Like, it is just so engrossing and pulls you into the story. Now, once we get into the story, of course, we are introduced to DMX, Tommy Buns, and Sincere, played by Nas. And majority of this movie is to create separation between the dynamic of the two. And you see DMX character as, you know, gangster thug, he, you know, on rob, get money mode, versus Sincere, who's, you know, trying to change and, you know, trying to leave a different life and kind of leave this behind and grow and be a family man. And each step after the point of them robbing the strip club is to create, you know, a separation amongst lifestyles. And they do that so well here visually. I really feel like that this movie fell apart for me always during the second act. But the first, it's always been cool to me. But as soon as we get into the play on color, y'all gonna hear oh my goodness a lot, because the visuals were so on point here for when we, you know, we leave the robbery and we get into Tommy's character and see, you know, how rambunctious and rah he is, and his visual aesthetic for his home matches his personality to a T. You know, you see big, bright, bold, white colors and all of these things, and you know, it just looks lavish and really expensive. And you know, before we get into Sincere's home, and Taral Hicks is in the movie. Like, Taral Hicks, there's two actors in this movie, I know y'all know the other one, who just didn't pop off the way they should have. So when you get to see them here, it's a treat. I always love Taral Hicks. If anybody seen A Bronx Tale, you know, you still reaching over, unlike that car window. Yes, she's a good one. She's a keeper. Cologio, you were all for A Bronx Tale and Taral Hicks playing Jade. And you just never really saw her much after that or going forward. But you get to see her here coming in as Keisha. And that's when that lighting of the film comes into play. Like, Keisha is, you know, a dark complected ghetto Naomi Campbell. Bad motherfucker. She is all of those things. So to have everything, there are so many instances in this film where everything is just almost pitch black dark. But Hype Williams has it where, you know, there are certain areas of lit color just looming, and it illuminates the person to where you can see them. To like properly light this dark skinned woman so beautifully was always just so entrancing to me. You know, you have this you go from this bold white, you know, living room setting to this deep dark blue and grays in this room, and her getting up all greased up like a bucket of damn church's chicken. And you know, you get into that and that play on that, and it's just so beautiful. So you're not really paying attention, you know, to too much dialogue and all this. For this film, I never really, you know, got into Nas much as an actor, but DMX was always a really good actor to me. And of course, you have Taral Hicks, who's a really good actor here. You know, you have a lot of background characters. Pretty much everybody acting here is either a rapper or sing something. Everybody's a rapper here. But, you know, everybody isn't good here. Nas is, you know, decent, but he's not like, he doesn't, I just felt like Nas was playing Nas. Now, DMX is playing DMX, but it's good. But you get into, you know, those colors. And even with, you know, who the fuck is Kiana, Tommy? You get into, you know, that phone call with Kiana, and we switch those colors, and it's that bright, you know, pink. I said I sucked his dick the night before last. You what? You know, you go back and watch that shit now and be like, you know, I'm only 16, so Tommy said we couldn't fuck. But, you know, he taught me how to tongue kiss. We've been knowing each other since I was 11 years old. It's like, what kind of pedophile? What kind of shit is this? But, you know, at the time, we weren't thinking about that. But you know, back to the hues and the color with, you know, the Kiana character being, you know, young and 16 and childlike. You know, she has that big, bold, hot pink bubblegum room. It just does so much for the movie. You know, sets the dynamic of, you know, the kind of character that Tommy is. And then we get into Sincere, you know, who goes home, and it's so, you know, his home is, you know, low key, it's calm, it's quiet, it's family, there's a baby, there's his girlfriend, you know, T-Boz. T-Boz could not act for nothing in this movie. But T-Boz is there, you know, she's, you know, dressed warm, you know, fully clothed, unlike he's, you know, all oiled up, ready to go. And it's a completely different narrative in his house. And it's, you know, it's like split down the middle. So right then we already have our separation of the two characters that are happening. So later on, when we do see the change in Sincere, it's not just so drastic because we see it in him immediately, just based off of how it's being directed in the cinematography, in the color, and the lighting. They don't be doing that now. But, you know, after we leave and we have a little bit more of, you know, Hype Williams creating that separation through those, you know, those sex scenes colliding together, where you have Tommy, you know, all rough, making, you know, fucking pretty much. And then you have Sincere all slow and sensual and different lighting, making love. Like, I saw what you was trying to do, Hype. But after we leave that and, you know, we get into, I'm about to start blowing the horn up in a fucking minute. We get into that, and, you know, him bringing him out into the car and saying, you know, I no longer, you know, want to get into, you know, robbing anymore. I'm trying to pull you into the heroin gang. Let's get into selling drugs. And that's when you see the transition start to happen with the Sincere character, like really, really pulling away and saying, you know, what's it all about? You know, money. We have money. I don't think I want to do this anymore. And it's just like, you know, I really felt like for a lot of points in this film, like he just allowed the actors to kind of just ad lib. Because when DMX saying shit like, you know, I bet you jump back on my dick. Like, that is a whole DMX thing. Like, there's so many verses, you know, with him make jump back on my dick again. Like, I feel like he ad libbed that. I feel like he ad libbed a lot of the stuff here. But this is when we get into the moments of Hype's script just not really colliding well, but we have, you know, epic things happening that we relate to, that we just, you know, we bypass everything that's not making sense in the scene. But after that, we get into, you know, them going to the spot to count the money, and that's when we get into, you know, you go get yours, B. We get into things like that, and we get into, you know, things like, you know, our introduction into the Knowledge character, and them making it very adamant, even in the beginning after they robbed. So, you know, I knew he was, you know, trash when Knowledge put him down, you know, that's black and blah, 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 blah. You know, we crack jokes on him and knowledge. But Sincere being a narrator, he makes it very clear that they're not trusting Knowledge. I'm like, okay, why the hell is Knowledge in charge, you know? And that's when, you know, the script just kind of starts to not make sense. But, you know, we use that to build Tommy and Sincere's friendship because, you know, I heard he was acting like he wanted to stick Sincere. You know what I'm saying? And we have that, you know, strip motherfucker, you think it's a game. And, you know, we love that. We love that as an audience. You know, it's a whole, you're going to get yours. It's a whole thing. So that really makes us bypass, you know, everything that's not making sense. Like, why the hell y'all trusting Knowledge with everything? Like, y'all get low key do okay, you know, I'm loving the visuals. But it's at that point that we get into a bum-ass character that Hype Williams just did not know what to do with. The Mr. Jamaican Don Donna. We get introduced into Ox and DMX traveling to Jamaica to, you know, get the plug. And he is such an enriched character and has so much to give. And it just seemed like Hype wrote into the script, you know, I want a badass dude, you know, Jamaican, and I don't know what he gonna say, but it's gonna be lit. Like, I just want a Jamaican kingpin in the movie. And he did not know what to do with him. So though we have those great scenes, you know, with them sitting and DMX just pretty much telling him, you know, you can trust me, I'm trying to be down, whatever I got to do, Ox don't have much to say. He's just sitting there. Jamaica's very good. Yeah. Oh, yeah. What? Looks good though. Looks good. Everything look good. But after we have, you know, that transition, you know, shot going on of, you know, Ox, you know, pulling them in, giving them the plug, and them going, you know, to Idaho and, you know, flooding the city with the dope and fuck the slides, won't the we get into that D'Angelo. D'Angelo was everything, like them damn songs. But after that, we get into being real simplistic with our script Hype of trying to pull Sincere away. Because what do we do to show that Sincere is changing and he wants to, you know, broaden his horizons? He reads a self-improvement book and he starts wearing glasses. I was like, really, Hype? We're going to go to easy, right? Like, hey, we finna make these brothers look smart. We finna put them on some glasses. But it was very, you know, brief, you know, like, you know, I started reading. I'm seeing everything in a whole new light. Like, oh yeah? Okay. And then it's versus that we have, you know, Sincere seeing things in a whole new light, you know, rocking the baby and reading the book. Like, it looks visually beautiful, but script-wise, it's not giving us anything. And then we have, you know, Tommy over the top, you know, fuck a book. When the last time you ever read a book, man? Never, motherfucker. He's just on 10 and over the top, and he's, you know, fucking cops can't touch me. I'm out here drinking, smoking weed. That's me. I'm untouchable, nigga. Like, it's a whole, you know, thing. And I love it. I love it so much. But I think it's because we love DMX so much and we love Nas so much as rappers. The script and the lack thereof, it just didn't bother us. And it still doesn't bother me to today. I will watch it right now and I'm going to mouth everything. And then that's when we get into my second character that I'm always so happy to see here, because he was in Menace to Society and he never popped off quite like, you know, a Lorenz Tate did. Don't know why, but it just didn't happen for him. But we get him, and that just goes to show you how lit that the visuals were for this movie and how much we love it, because you have Kane popping up out of nowhere with a whole flip wig on, eating a banana with some thick ass bifocals on. Them niggas rolling real hard. Might have to drop a dime on them niggas. I don't like that shit. Hey, banana all looks completely ridiculous. But since we were loving the movie so much, like, it's iconic now. Like, it's, you know, it's on a t-shirt. It's a meme. It's a, you know, it's a Halloween costume at this point. Like, it is so epic that he could come out with that flamboyant whole thing. And depending on what area of the city they were in, because you notice, like, his whole gang behind him, all their hair was laid. Like, it was a thing. But just to throw Tyron Turner in that wig, it was just, like, really hype. But we love it, though, because I don't like that shit. So after we leave, you know, everybody pushing dope and, you know, making phone calls on their landlines phone in their living room, like, it was just so laughable at the, you know, minor mistakes that they were making as these lavish as, you know, drug dealers, and like, y'all just talking to each other on y'all phones, like y'all phone can't be tapped, like y'all ain't watch Scarface and Goodfellas. Don't talk on your phone. Go to a payphone, not your phone. But that always took me out. Just minor things in the script that could have used some tweaking if he would have had some help. I think if Hype Williams would have just directed and maybe gave the idea of the script to someone else, they would have, you know, this would have been really epic. But since he didn't and he tried to do it by himself, child. But it's at this point that the movie just slowly starts to kind of fall apart, where it was, you know, really being held together like with glue for the first half with, you know, the story. But, you know, things were kind of cohesively making sense. Now, once we get into Tommy, you know, they had that whole, you want to go home? You want to go home? I'll take you home. You want to go home? You scared? And Sincere goes home and he decides to go, you know, on to Jamaica to help Ox with his favor. Anybody go back and watch that scene with them, you know, traveling down that Kingston Street and Ox just talking. After he tells Tommy, you know, I need you to do this favor and, you know, pretty much, you know, kill someone. Remember when I told you, you know, if I put you down, I'm going to need you. After he tells him that, they are literally rolling in this car for like 15 minutes, not talking about nothing. Not talking about nothing. I'm so glad that Ox, you know, was Jamaican, and, you know, it's kind of hard at times to translate what he's saying, which, you know, makes it seem like it's so much more than it is. But if you go back and you genuinely listen, it was just an excuse. It sounded like it was, you know, a video director's move. Like, oh, wouldn't it look so hype if, you know, they're driving through the Kingston streets and we get these angles and they, you know, smoking a fat blunt. And it does. But they ain't talking about nothing. That whole like segment of Tommy going to Jamaica just turns into a like Jamaican video. Like, you ever see, you know, the people, ladies all dancing in the camera and the body, like it almost looks like, you know, just give me the light. It looks like just give me the line and pass it, you know, stuck like glue. It looks like a Jamaican dance hall video. It just seems like it was, you know, an idea in Spike's head, like, oh, this would look visually cool, because of course he knows what looks visually cool. He just doesn't know writing. But, you know, once again, we have, you know, visuals and the music saving the scenes, because, you know, we have Mr. Vegas and Sean Paul performing. You know, you have all this lavish Jamaican vibes going. It always looked like somewhere you wanted to be. You have the soundtrack, the music in the background helping you out. You have, you know, it just looked like, damn, I'm trying to go there. And then after that, you know, you had, you know, the dude with his feathers in his head, and you know, Ox is like, you know, I need you to get him. You got old girl shaking her ass on top. It is visually pleasing. And then you get the here comes the boom in the back. Oh, that's my here comes the boom. Boom, man, bouncing, stalk, it was walking, hearts they be pouncing. You know, hey, we got all of those good things that's making us still vibe with the scene, even though it's like, this is getting all out of place. And then, of course, we're still trying to create that separation to show that, you know, Sincere is on a higher plane. And, you know, he's all at home in bed with T-Boz, giving forehead kisses. It's like, oh, okay. Now, once we get, you know, into that nice epic shot of, you know, DMX, please, me beg for $1. Me beg for $1. And, you know, shooting the Jamaican dude with the feathers in his hair. Once we get back on that plane and we get into, you know, everything just kind of falling apart and the dime being dropped, you know, I'm going to just have to drop a dime on them. Once that happens, the story just goes, we get into, you know, Keisha, you know, being captured, you know, by the feds and them coming in, not making sense, but looks good. That shot of Keisha in the kitchen, like everything just looks so great. And you get into, you know, Tommy just being really, really frantic, and knowledge and the other dudes, you know, being stuck up, and the feds coming and people dying and getting arrested, and, you know, it holds no weight because we don't know anything about these people. We don't care about them. We've only been really following Sincere and Tommy. So it's like, oh, he got shot? Oh, okay. But it falls apart for me at this point, even though I don't care because I still love it, because, you know, he's all at 10 and nigga, we hot right now. Like, the spot got popped, and Sincere is like, oh yeah, oh word. And it's just, I was with DMS, like, nigga, you real calm for somebody who's supposed to be on the run like me. I was like, why is Sincere written to be so calm? Like, he has nothing to do with any of this. All it would take, you know, is for knowledge to give your name. You are just as much as connected to everything that's been going on as DMX. So when he's just like so calm and just so above it all of a sudden, like, you just separated yourself from the issue. You just got on a plane and went home. You have been a part of this with me. We have been doing these ventures together. So at that point, when it was just like, you know, Tommy's at risk, and, you know, they have Keisha, and I could get locked up, and the feds are investigating us, and the money is there, and you know, don't cross me, dog, you know, don't touch me. Like, and we have, you know, random lines that I know they just let DMA, you know, hey, when it rains, niggas get wet. Like, what you talking about? Why are you the only one, you know, on 10 and Sincere is so calm? Like, you I've been at home with T-Boz, so I ain't got nothing to do with this. No, you're supposed to be on high alert too. So after we leave things making completely no sense, like Knowledge, calling Keisha, you'll be the bitch once Tommy finds out about this and has the nerve to write in the screens, they probably got your phone fucking tapped. Like, what? And then you have Tommy, who, they've been exchanging on regular ass phones this whole time. I can't use a regular phone, dude. I need a pay phone. Oh, now you need a pay phone? But this is when we get into, with Knowledge feeling all smited, we get into Knowledge bone. What's the science, baby? We get into M-O-T-H-O-D, man. M-E-T-H-O-D, man. Hey, you, get off my cloud. You don't know me and you don't. We get into Method Man. He is here looking like Method Man. I was too busy looking good. I do use, looking good a whole lot in my videos. I want you people out there who don't know the reference of looking good. For me, it's always, Pretty Ricky, what they called him from Martin. Or you ever watch Juice when Q comes in and he's like, hey, yo, Q. He comes into the bar. He's like, yeah, you want some of this? He's like, nah, man. He's like, hey, yeah, you, strip. You look good. That's all my look goods come from there. Just in case anybody was wondering. But we get into, Method Man being pulled into the fold, and it's just like, what's going on here? It just seemed like there was an excuse in the script to, I want to get all the hot rappers, all my friends coming into this movie. And he's, set to, seek revenge on Knowledge's part, go on over to, Kane and his wig with his crew and go, I make love, baby. And try to set them up and, infiltrate things to, kill them and, get back for Knowledge. And it's just like, they really spent a moment trying to really invest us into Knowledge, but he didn't build Knowledge up to be any sort of character. He was like almost just a voice on the phone for the first part of the movie. So it's just like, we supposed to care about Knowledge? Like, oh, okay. I always happy to see Method Man though. But we get more into things like that. We get into more things that, just don't flow and don't make sense. Now, we did have a brief moment with, T-Boz and Keisha, walking down that street. Script, dialogue, horrible. Not talking about, I don't know T. I don't know what that is. Like, horrible. But they look beautiful walking down that street. Their skin, everything just looks so lavish. But then when we cut to, Keisha being captured and the whole jail situation is like, we didn't see Keisha get, interrogated or questioned. We don't know how long she been in here. But it was just like, hype was like, what'll look bomb as fuck? And we have Keisha get out of jail. And, she got on this hot pink fitted jail jump, like, yeah, this is cute. And her bob, had so much movement and she looked all replenished. I was like, what jail she was in? And you have that, that grand hug between her and T-Boz, and it's just, supposed to build something. Okay. It was like, man, we could have really went somewhere here, but just, we just have Hype Williams just really dropping the ball with the script. But it's at this point that we just really get into, the script just going out the window, and we get into really, really lazy writing on Hype Williams's part. And I am just like, if we, weren't, why is Nas, so calm and acting like he's just so distant, and I ain't about that. Like, I brought my ass home. For 5 minutes, nigga, you've been a part of everything else up until this point. You should be on alert also. But we have, Tommy, who's on the run this whole time. But we still, have Sincere at home with his glasses, reading his self-empowerment book. Now, this is where we kind of pull in the minister character that we get into later in the film. I wish that he had alluded or, let us as the audience know that the minister character at the end, the book is from him, and that's, the teachings that Nas has been reading this entire time, that's been wanting him, pulling him to change so much. If you're not paying attention, you're not going to know. You just end up at the end, it's like, where the minister come from? But it's at that point that we get into things, picking up courtesy of visuals and music, with the Jamaicans realizing, that Ox set up the guy with the feathers, and we get into Chiquita And me one thing you take, you understand. Me one thing me not think you understand. We get into Sister Nancy, y'all. Bum bum, are you a? Who wants a bum bum, bum bum, dilum, bum bum. Hey, we get into Chiquita rolling up, all glittered, all chocolate lighting, perfection, looking all good. And we know, they're going, to get getting into Ox. Like, I'm just gonna jump on Ox for a second. That scene with Ox and when he gets taken out always just took me the fuck out, because Ox is a whole Jamaican drug kingpin, has a whole lavish mansion, all this money, no security in sight, nobody in sight to protect you. You have a whole mob of motherfuckers rolled up on the mansion with Chiquita, takes Ox out alone. He's in there, soul gum, like he's supposed to be going out, Scarface style. I'm like, well, hell, at least with Scarface, he has some henchmen in the front. Nothing. He's just going, looking at the camera. Then it's a little, convoluted because he's supposed to be a little drunk and high at the moment. And it's like, hi, what were you thinking? And we just really didn't have, any dynamic things happening there, but it just sounded good to hear him, say, me kill people for fun. I am the original Jamaican. Like, it sounds good, looks even better. What's going on with the script? But we get into, Tommy being on the run and more into Wise and Like Kid. I always hated those characters, as like a cop-out situation for them to be, little mini carbon copies of Tommy and Sincere. Like, why do they look so matchy? But he ends up with them of all people in the conversation with Knowledge and where's my bill and, and you gonna see me, nigga, suck my dick, nigga. Well, we get into all of that. And things falling further apart within the script with Tommy, having that whole scene in the restaurant, which looks, I love those lavish shots that made me think of the shots of, Hype Williams doing the overhead shots where you're overlooking people above their heads. So great. They look so great. I love it. But we get into those shots and, they having the whole, and the whole shootout. And him shooting the kid at the table, he was just tired running, so he was so drunk and high, he just stayed. Ain't nobody that damn drunk and high that just gonna stay and you on the run. Like, that was just so lazy to me. And then we have, another strip club scene, courtesy of Method Man and Tyron Turner, and him trying to get the one up on each other and shoot each other. Method Man gets dead ass shot, like, looks like dead smack in the chest, does a tuck and roll, shoot at some cops, tuck and roll again, rolls into a car and speeds off. Like, what? Meanwhile, you have, characters like Nas, who's all off on his own storyline, rolling up to, get the dope and all these other things from Ox, and Top Dog with his throat slit ear to ear. Like, what is this supposed to be? Looks good. Everything looks good. And then we have, the smaller moments of Nas talking to, the little kid on the bench, I got bags today, man. I got. This is like supposed to be, so astonishing. Be like, oh, look at this 12-year-old out here selling drugs and holding a gun saying he killed somebody on the roof. What? It's like Hype Williams had all these things that sounded, visually, aesthetically pleasing into his brain, and he wrote them down on the script and just didn't make sure that they made sense. Hype just needs me. He was trying to do a Tyler Perry. He was trying to do everything. Hype needed a little help. So after we leave, Tommy being arrested, I love when Tommy gets arrested and he has, a blue jail cell to match his blue shirt. Like, really, Hype? Look good. Made no sense. But once we, realize that Nas isn't going to be able to help him courtesy of Ox, we just get into, stuff happening. We have DMX character who is, let out and then contacted, infiltration Black Panther style to infiltrate this Muslim Farrakhan minister-esque organization to kill the minister before he gets his speech. And it's like, what? And then you have Nas, who's, on his own plane trying to, move his family to Africa. Like, it's so funny now to hear, like, and you just get, T-Boz. I don't know. I mean, Africa's far. Like, what? there was just not enough build up to those things for those things, to make sense in the script. And I get what Hype was trying to do, like even with, Tommy infiltrating the group and, the white guy going, yeah, you my nigga, like, yeah. And them, you have Nas narrating saying, he had to really, get into the organization. They needed a nigga to do it for publicity. Like, he was trying to say some things there within his script and with his characters, but it just didn't translate. And then you have Method Man on his own, escapade, trying to get to Tommy and, looking menacing, stopping at T-Boz crib and all those things. And it's just like, once again, everything looks great, not making sense. But when we end off with things like, Nas, hey, remember that shit from the basement? Like, what nigga pop? Great scene. I love when the guy's holding his baby and he sees him roll up and he's like, hey, yo, I'm about to get ready to blow, Don. Like, these niggas rolling up. I ain't gonna say nothing, but, I'm about to go. But it's supposed to be like, no matter what's getting in our way, we still going to Africa. We're going to motherland, with our people. Okay. But we have that going on and, him completely separating himself from Tommy, that meetup where they're both good now because, they both have on glasses now. I see you, Hype. DMX had on glasses too. At they meet up, at the chicken fried place and, let them know, my nigga, I'm on a different plane. And I'm so thankful for DMX and his acting skills at that point because he did a really good job of creating doubt in himself to make it feel like, I'm really not digging, killing the minister. I'm really, feeling what this organization has to say. I'm really tired. If he wasn't on point with his acting, courtesy of that script, it just would have been all over the place. But we end off with, Method Man trying to get his way to the Tommy Buns character by going through Taral Hicks, Keisha's character, and, her beating him with the ashtray and him, her shooting and, killing him. And it's just supposed to, her whole story arc was supposed to go, see what happens when you mess around and fall in love and get in relationships with drug dealers. You see what happened? Look at this. It just didn't flow well. It just, Hype needed some help. And we have, Nas, of course. We going to Africa bleeding and we going and you see how T-Boz was all dressed in her African garb to go to Africa. We have that being his arc and him arriving there. And we have Tommy and the minister. And then it's just like, huh? But it's so well done and so well shot and looks so beautiful. That that building where the minister is giving his speech, those hallways and everything just looks so rich. Like you're just for it and you're watching it. And then you have DMX coming back in the way he opened with the prayer. Sold myself to the devil. The price is cheap. It was cold on this level. It's twice as deep. It's 2 o'clock. I'm just about to hit the street. Like we open with that and we end with it. So we've been following it this long. Everything was just visually enticing. So we didn't care that it didn't make sense. So when we get to, I was going to say Farrakhan, the minister in his, dynamic speech, the black woman. It's time, brother. It's time. And, you have DMX holding that gun and, nobody really knows what it's going to be in the end. 2 minus 4, 3, 1. Amen. We get that. Oh, God, I miss him. We get, those great things. But those are only things that, a DMX could have done because he was that dude and he could make scenes like that believable. And, we have this whole embrace as to say, DMX is a changed man and he's going to join the nation and go to prison. I don't know. But we end up with the DMX and voiceover of, Nas arriving in Africa and it's, New Year's. I liked a lot of things there, but it was just like, help him. Help him. He needed some help. Well, you guys, that was my review of the Belly film. I hope you guys enjoyed it. As you can see, this is a beloved film. At my house, it is. I love this movie. And as you heard, the script was trash. But visually, the direction, cinematography, the music, the soundtrack, the actors, the costume choice, like everything else flowed perfectly. and us loving these rappers so much and what they brought, especially DMX, what he brought to his character, it makes you love this movie regardless, and that's why it's a classic, regardless if Hype Williams needed a little help or not. But you know, you guys drop down, tell me some of your favorite lines, tell me if you like this video, tell me if you guys like this whole throwback aesthetic and want me to do more. Now, of course, if I do a different film, might be, you know, a good one. We won't have to talk about, you know, what was missing in the film and the direction. We would just talk about, you know, the film in general, but I'll, you know, figure out how to maneuver my way around those things when I get there. But that's only if you guys enjoyed this video and you watch it and you comment and you like, share, all those good things. But, you know, let's get the conversation going. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.